Hi, I'm Kate and welcome to my channel. So I have not filmed a video since October. So it's been like, I don't know, three and a half months since I filmed. Life's been busy, work has been busy, but I knew I had to come back and film my ranking of all of my 2022 eyeshadow palettes. My favorite content to make is eyeshadow palettes, and I did accumulate 18 new palettes in 2022, so I thought I would rank them for you. So last year I was very mindful about the palettes that I brought into my collection. So out of the 18, there's really only 2 that I didn't enjoy. Otherwise, I really like most of these palettes. I've tried to rank them a couple times and every time it ends up a little bit different. Like the bottom stays consistent, but from the middle to the top, it could really change day to day depending on my mood. So take the top with a grain of salt. I really liked a lot of these palettes this year. Let's dive right in. In the 18th spot, I really did not like this palette. It is from ColourPop. This is the All Amethyst palette. I like purples, and I did pick up a Super Shock shadow that went along with this collection that I really do love and I use way more often than I dip into this palette. A couple of the mattes had glitter in it, the shimmers were kind of lackluster, so this was just not a win for me and will probably be decluttered at some point. In the 17th spot is from Moira Cosmetics. This is the Let's Get Carried Away palette. It's okay. I just don't find myself like excited about it. I used it a couple times. Some of the warm tones are really pretty. Functionally, it performs really well. I do wish that the deepest brown up here was more of a true brown. This one comes off very purple on the eye. So I feel like if I want to go dark, my looks all end up looking the same. The shimmers were okay, not great. So again, another one that I will probably declutter in the near future. Now really the rest of these palettes I like. It's hard to rank them, but we'll give it a go. In the 16th spot, I have one of the few Juvia's Place palettes that I picked up this year. This is the Allure 3. I do really like this palette. Obviously, there's not a lot of variety that you can get, being that it's only 6 shades, but this shimmer is really, really pretty. Super dimensional, really fun. The mattes perform really nice. The only reason why this is down low is just you can't get a great variety of looks, but it's nice for a little 6-pan palette. In the 15th spot, I have the first of many Nomad palettes on this list. I have every single Nomad release from 2022 in this list, so I really enjoyed them all, but in the 15th spot, I have the Monteverde Cloud Forest palette. So really bright and colorful and fun. I made a great variety of looks using this. It's just not one that I'm grabbing for as much as I thought I would. You can go fairly neutral, you can go really green, really colorful. I love Nomad's formula. There's just a lot of really great palettes from last year, and that's the only reason why this is down at number 15. In the 14th spot, I have the Michaela and Glamlight Part 2 palette. This is a really nice palette. It performs great. I really enjoyed the shimmers in this one, but when I compare it to the original, I just like that one so much more, and I reach for that one much more often. I do like some of the grungy looks I can get with this. I've dipped into it a little more just in the last few days. It is a really beautiful palette. I haven't really dipped into the blues. I still need to do that, but this is in the 14th spot. In the 13th spot is from a new brand from this past year, Fantasy Cosmetica. This is the Druid palette. I think I made a video on this. If I have any videos on palettes from this list, I will put them below. This is a beautiful palette. I think it released in the spring. I wish it had released in the fall because it's a beautiful fall color story. So I feel when I got it, I just didn't get a lot of use out of it because seasonally it didn't really fit what I was looking for, but I think this was a fantastic first release for the brand. I think since they've come out with 2 other palettes, I haven't picked any more up, but it's still a brand that I am watching and have my eye on, so this is my 13th. In the 12th position is from Shroud Cosmetics. Now I think I have every single Shroud release as well, but this is the Creepy Cute 2. I picked this up a little later. I did not pick it up on the initial launch. It's a nice palette, all mattes, good variety of colors. It's ranked higher than some of these other ones just because of the formula. I love Shroud shadows and how they perform, and I kind of put myself into collector mindset and picked this up. It does pair nicely with the original Creepy Cute because there's finally a yellow, and then some of these deeper shades really coincide with the pastels in the original Creepy Cute. So this is number 12. Number 11 is another palette from Juvia's Place. This is the Garden of Juvia's. I really got into a lot of pastels this year, and this might be one of my favorite pastel palettes. I do still really love the Lost in Los Angeles pastel palette from BH. This is beautiful. It performed really well. The shimmers are really pretty. A lot of different directions you can take this, and Juvia's shadows are really pigmented, even these lighter shades. So I thought this was beautiful. All right, kicking off the top 10 is another palette from Nomad. This is the Whistler Lodge palette. This is beautiful. This was the first palette of the year I got, I think. I especially love some of these really pretty shimmers. Nomad mattes are fantastic, super rich, beautiful palette. I think I have several Nomad palettes in my top 10 for 2022. So this one is kicking off that top 10. In the 9th spot, yet another Nomad palette. This is the Hudson Valley. This was a beautiful fall palette. I feel like they timed the release of this perfectly right in the fall. Just some of those rich reds and yellows and the grungy greens, neutrals. This is just a dream fall palette. So probably not something I'm gonna get a lot of use out of right now into the beginning of the year, but in the fall this will definitely be out on my desk again. All right, number 8 for me for 2022 comes from Black Moxie. This is the Black Moxie and Pixie Glow collab. I have to hold it kind of carefully because my dark blue here did shatter and it falls out, but this is a beautiful palette. Some really unique kind of multi-chrome, duochrome shades. I did quite a few looks. I have a video on this as well. Black Moxie is another brand that has super pigmented, rich mattes, but they blend out really nicely. But some of the shimmers in here were just really unique and fun. So I thought this was a great collab. I really enjoy this palette. This is number 8. In the 7th spot, another Shroud palette. This is the Shroud and Batty Bean. Used to be Butte Bean, the Halloween palette. So this was released around Halloween. I just really like the color stories that they come up with Batty Bean. I think they're just really unique and fun, and this was great for the fall, great for Halloween. Some really fun oranges, some really unique shimmers like this one, Ghoulish. I don't know how well you'll see it, but it has like some green tinge to it, but really like sheer over the eye, beautiful. And again, I just really like Shroud's formula, so this is a great palette. In the 6th spot is probably my new favorite neutral palette. Comes from Juvia's Place. This is the Nubian Earth palette. I don't tend to buy a lot of neutral palettes because I have enough. Don't really need many more neutral palettes, but when I saw this and swatched this shade right here, it looks white in the pan, but then it's like this beautiful whitish gold shade that looks so pretty on the eye. I find myself dipping into this just for that shimmer to top with other looks. The other shimmers I find kind of lackluster, but the mattes are really nice, and that shimmer on its own pushed this all the way into the 6th spot. Beautiful palette. In the 5th spot from Nomad, it is the Santa's Village palette. This is a fun little palette. It was released right before Christmas. The mattes are really nice, typical Nomad formula, but the shimmers are all like these beautiful topper shades. So I don't know how well they'll just swatch. I'll swatch a few, but they're just these really beautiful sheer shades that just top over the looks beautifully. The only reason why this isn't higher is just because it's small. It's beautiful and just a really unique Christmas palette. All right, we're still in the Nomad palettes. In the 4th spot, Paradise Islands. This was an unexpected favorite for me. I got this from my sister for my birthday this year. Not really my typical style, but I could not put this down once I started using it. I did so many looks with this. I loved the variety of mattes. The shimmers were really beautiful, especially like this blue shimmer. They had a couple of these kind of iridescent shimmers. Beautiful, 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 and way higher on the list than I would have expected upon receiving it. All right, in the 3rd spot, this is a palette that I think topped my last 10 palettes in my last ranking video, but this is from Cosmic Brushes. This is the Serenity palette. I also have to open this one kind of carefully because this dark green here shattered, but this is a beautiful palette. I had never tried the brand before. I think this is their 2nd palette that they've come out with, but I just love the color story. The shimmers are beautiful. The mattes perform really nice. You can just get a really good variety with this palette. So this was pretty easy to put in my top 3. Beautiful. I definitely recommend it. In the 2nd spot for me, another Nomad palette. This is the Provence palette. This is another one that was unexpectedly amazing. I know I love Nomad's formula, but when I first saw this color story, I was kind of iffy on it. And then once I started using it, I fell in love with it. I still am reaching for this one, even though this came out, I think, back in the summer. I still reach for this fairly often, probably most often into the yellows. I love the yellows in here. This palette just feels very soft and romantic, but because it's Nomad, you can get a lot of boldness from the shadows. This is beautiful, so this is number 2. All right, any guesses for number 1? It is what I'm wearing on my eyes today. Number 1 for me for 2022, topping all of these other very beautiful palettes, comes from Glaminatrix, and this is the Nocturnal palette. As soon as I saw this color story, I knew that I had to have it. It feels grungy but springy and fall. You can go so many different directions with this. Today I used the purple here, the yellow, a little bit of black, and then the shade Dusk and Milky Way to create this look. I've done green looks, blue looks, purple looks, black and yellow grungy looks. I love this palette. I really like Glaminatrix. Their formula, especially their shimmers, are so unique and pretty. I think their Silent Night palette last year was near the top of my list too for my rankings, so I'm not surprised that this is as high as it is, but this is pretty easily my #1 palette for 2022. Well, thank you so much for watching my first video of 2023. Let me know below what your top palette of last year was. If it's something that I have or if it's something that I didn't mention today, I would love to hear what you are using. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.